Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for Men Over 40 podcast. Today, I want to discuss about a strategy in our system. It's going to give you a tool or strategy, if you may, to measure how effective is your action plan. Now, you can apply this strategy to anything. And since our show is about martial arts, and if you plan to start training jiu-jitsu or any kind of art for that matter, you can apply this strategy to measure how effective this tool is. You see, the reason I'm saying tools because I don't see martial arts as a style, because the style tend to divide people into tribes, and I don't believe in that. I believe that all martial arts, all of them, have something good that we can learn from. They all have good stuff that we can apply to our daily lives. They all have benefits one way or the other. All right. People says, well, I'm specialized on karate. I'm specialized in jiu-jitsu. Let me tell you something. Insects are specialists. As a human being, you should be open to learn from anybody, from anywhere, and from anything. Okay? If you confine yourself in one style, okay, you're never going to progress. You're never going to be well-rounded, right? The UFC was there to prove it. As far talking, in martial arts, the UFC proved to everybody that if you are a specialist in one style, you cannot survive there. Okay, so look at martial arts, all of them, as you look into this huge toolbox in which you have access to all of it, not just one, but all of it. And the only thing you need is an action plan, a philosophy, a thermostat that can separate, right, a good strategy for that moment, for that scenario. Because a lot of people have the bad habit of badmouthing each other's martial arts, right? Often you see people say, oh, all you need is boxing. And that's the boxing tribe. And some people say, well, all you need is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is good for everything. All you need is that. If you practice jiu-jitsu, you're all set. You don't need to train anything else. Okay? If you hear somebody saying that to you, that's the dumbest comment you can make. Miyamoto Musashi, the father of the strategy, if you never read his book, I advise you to buy one today. Okay? It's called the Book of Five Rings. In the Book of Earth, he says, how can you understand the universe? I'm going to repeat this, okay? How can you understand the universe by studying one planet? It's impossible, okay? Just please see all martial arts, all of them, as tools. It may require a good interpretation. It required you to be a tactician to know which tool you're going to grab from that toolbox to apply in any given moment. Okay? And usually, if you look right now, in any MMA fight, usually the fighter who wins the fight Usually, the fighter that defends his title for the longest is the one with the better strategy. Make no mistake about it, okay? It is smart mixing, right, of all the tools. And by knowing how to use those tools, those strategies, makes you a good tactician. So that is the main difference between strategies and tactics, okay? Because strategy is the whole, is the grand scheme of things. It's all the martial arts. Since we're talking about martial arts, it's all the martial arts. How are you going to use it as a professional fighter is tactics, okay? I'm not saying you have to become a professional in every single martial arts, because you can't. There is no enough time in a human life to specialize in every single martial arts. It's impossible. But you can get familiar with all of them, right? Understand boxing, not to defeat the boxer, but to understand box. Understand traditional karate, not to defeat the karate fighter, but to understand his game. To understand judo, not to defeat the judo fighter, but to understand how he fights. Okay, so that's the secret. And the strategy I want to share with you tonight, I call it Casmir. So I give you time to find a pen and write this down. So I'm going to spell it for you, okay? It's C.A.S.M.I.R, C.A.S.M.I.R. So C stands for controlled by you. First thing you have to understand, and you have to realize, is this strategy can be controlled by you, your personal responsibility, something you can do on your own. A stands for attainable. Ask yourself, within your ability to do it successfully, realistic. Pay attention to these words. Ability to do it successfully and realistic. S stands for simple, clear to the point and easy to understand. Very important when you are talking about combat arts. M stands for measurable. Can you measure it? Can you measure your progress? In other words, it has a defined outcome. How exactly are you going to do? Is that legal and correct? Because we live in society, right? I stands for immediate. No need to wait. You can take action and you can start it right now. Is that repeatable? Something you can do every day, perform often enough to become a habit. So if you study the Casmir principle or strategy you may, you will measure any technique that you come across. It is a thermostat for you. Okay, if somebody shows you a move, okay, ask yourself, is this attainable? Can I perform this technique right now with the physical strength that I have with the body that I have right now. If somebody shows you a jumping, spinning back kick, that is a good time for you to ask yourself, do I have that flexibility? Do I have that body coordination to do that kick? Or if Jean-Claude Van Damme demonstrate the helicopter kick that he does on the silver screen, and he says, go ahead and do it. Can you do it? Is that attainable? Right? Can you repeat that? Is that repeatable? Can you do it right now? So the C.A.S.M.I.R principle will give you the tools so you can measure all of it, so you don't fool yourself. And it is a good strategy if you're teaching someone at your school, if you are a teacher. And if you have somebody that's 75 years of age, do you really gonna show him a movement that takes a lot of speed, body coordination, and a lot of strength? Think about that for a second, right? You have to ask all of it, all the questions. Is that attainable? Is that simple enough for this person to use, right? A-N-S. Is that attainable? Is that simple for this person? Can this person use right now? And that's I, immediate. Can they take action right now? And if not, how long is it going to take for me to teach this person to do the move, and what steps I have to take to teach this person to execute this particular move? So this is a fantastic tools for you, the listener that wants to take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you are 45, maybe you are 65, you can apply that. If your teacher is trying to make you do it, a flying an arm lock, and you have all sort of problems with your back and neck, and you're gonna ask yourself, is this attainable? With the body that I have right now, with the problems that I have right now, is this attainable? Is that simple enough? Can I do it right now? And if you ask all the questions, can I control this? Can I do it? Is that repeatable? Right? I'm watching this guy showing me this stuff. Can I do this right now? If not, why? So this is a great strategy for you, the listener that wants to start martial arts. It doesn't have to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, any martial arts, any sports for that matter. You're gonna ask yourself all those questions, right? You can see, it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean that the technique is not effective. It doesn't mean that. Those questions, it's for you to ask yourself if it is attainable by you. Because somebody's doing it with ease, it's not true that you can also do it. Maybe there is you have to adapt your body to it. Maybe there is another way to do it. Maybe you have to break down that technique even further to learn. Maybe you have to stretch for 3 or 4 months before you do that. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you have to use those principles so you can make the right decision. Okay, and if you are a school owner out there teaching people, make sure you embrace this principle. C.A.S.M.I.R principle is very useful for anything you do in life. It is a thermostat for you to test, analyze any technique, anything that's people giving you, anything that people are teaching you, right? It is something you can take with you if you're learning how to drive a car for the first time. If you are learning how to ride a motorcycle for the first time, anything in your life, you can apply the Casmir principle. So let's go over again. C stands for control by you. A, attainable. S stands for simple. M, measurable. I for immediate. And R, repeatable. Some principles in there are more important, more crucial than the others. And you have to study with an open mind. So therefore, whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to learn, you use that principle. A couple of episodes ago, we had people that I had the privilege to interview, giving their advices about what to look for when you go and search for that dojo to start your martial arts journey. As a teacher, as a coach, I can tell you this: be very careful when you choose that school. Don't get excited and sign up right away. The furniture, the white mat, the white walls doesn't mean you are in the right school. Of course, a clean mat, clean facility is also something that you have to look for. No question about it. But what's most important is to have that conversation with the school owner. Okay? Is to wait for the class finish and talk to the students. Pick their brain. Ask them, do you like this school? Do you like the training methodology? Some people love to talk to you about it. Some of them will volunteer priceless information. But be careful. Make sure you talk to several students, because maybe, just maybe, you're talking to that disgruntled student that for some reason doesn't like the teacher, and perhaps is brand new there, right? So take your time, do your little interview. Ask if they like the school, ask why. How long they trained there. How's the training methodology? Ask them, do you have a curriculum? Is the teacher have a curriculum, teaching curriculum every day? Does he ask you guys, what are we gonna learn today? Right? There's a red flag right there for you. Take a tour at the facilities. Watch if they clean the mat, sanitize the mat after class, right? You don't want to end up with a skin infection. Doesn't worth it. Pay attention if that teacher is gonna sit down with you and perform an interview with you. If he doesn't do an interview with you, that's another red flag. A good teacher will sit down with you and ask you many important questions about your health, previous injuries. A good teacher will follow the C.A.S.M.I.R protocol, the C.A.S.M.I.R strategy, to probe for questions. so they can better help you. He's gonna ask you about your goals. What is your plan? Why you wanna take jiu-jitsu? What kind of work you do? So on and so forth. What kind of shape you are right now? Again, coming back to immediate. Can you start right now? Can you take action right now? If not, why? Do we have to design a special program for you? So all that, it's ingrained into the C.A.S.M.I.R strategy. It is to measure how effective is the teaching methodology of that particular school. Don't stop there. Visit several schools in your area. Take notes, right? Take notes and compare it. After visiting 3 or 4 schools, compare it. Go ahead and take the offer. Train there for a week. Okay, let's say if you narrow down to 2 schools, take the offer, train there for 2 weeks. And then you make a decision based on the C.A.S.M.I.R strategy. And I promise you, if you do that, if you ask the right questions, you're not going to be disappointed. Now, if you are an instructor and you're listening to this podcast, you don't want to lose that potential customer. I'm not saying you're a bad instructor, not at all. Maybe your teacher never went over with you about all that. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you are a black belt in teaching techniques, but you are a white belt and some other strategies like this one here that I'm trying to show you. So if you are a school owner out there, take this and embrace it and apply it. Okay? Remember that everyone inside of your dojo roof pays your bill, puts bread on your table. And if you do a good job, when I show up at your school by giving a good interview, going over your teaching methods, and if you don't have one, get one. Because right now, there is a lot of schools out there, a lot of teams out there, they are putting together curriculums, teaching methodologies, so they don't lose more students. So they don't lose students to the next academy right next to you that have that care, have strategies to keep the customer underneath that roof. Okay, because let's face it, this is not Shaolin Temple. Okay, this is not Shaolin Temple anymore, like you saw in the old movies, that the students stayed outside for 3 months waiting for the monk to open the doors and bring them inside. It's not that case. Right now, I don't know if you like it or not, it is business. It is business. You charge a fee, okay, in exchange for technique, for a good technique. And if you do a good job interviewing that customer, that will be your student, your potential student, okay? If you do a good job interviewing them, find what their needs are, right? You're gonna land a student for life. Maybe that guy will stay with you until he reaches the black belt level. But it's up to you. The Gracie Academy in Torrance, the Gracie brothers, I don't remember which one, but one of them said in an interview that right after Royce Gracie won the first, second, I think the third championship there, they had lot of thousands and upon thousand students signing up on the academy. And he said they lost more than 3,000 students because they had the same mentality of putting people to spar right away. And a lot of people got hurt. A lot of people, it scared people away because they had no curriculum. They had no teaching methods. So they had no curriculum to teach people from white belt level, blue belt level, so on and so forth. So therefore, they lost a lot of students. And today, that school has one of the best teaching methodologies that I ever saw in my life. So if you go there, whoever is teaching that day, if you are a white belt, you know your curriculum. You know exactly what you're going to learn. And according to Master Fabio Gurgel, the Alliance BJJ Association, they have that as well. So if you go to train with Alliance in Germany, the curriculum there is going to be the same if you go study in Framingham, Massachusetts, or if you go to Texas or any city around the world. So think about that for a second. Okay, so if you have a teaching methodology, if you have a teaching style, now you can measure. Going back to the C.A.S.M.I.R principle, it is attainable because you know what you're going to learn. You can measure the progress. If you're a teacher, you can measure the progress of the student. Right? If he's doing great, then you can teach him the next phase. You can put him in the next phase, whatever you call it, right? If it is simple enough, he's gonna understand, right? And you can also ask yourself, is that immediate? Can I teach this person right now? Because right now you know his physical capacity. You know that you can take action right now. You can teach that technique right now because you know where he is with his physical capabilities. He doesn't have any injuries. He's in good health. You can teach that technique. So you can start right now. You can take action, right? And you also know it's attainable. And it is controlled by you because you know exactly what you're gonna teach. And if you are the student, you know exactly what you're gonna learn. So it's in a controlled environment. And if you have somebody teaching for you, you know exactly what they are teaching. Therefore, you are controlling even if you're not there. Even if you have 3, 4, 5 schools. Right? That's the beauty of this principle, right? You have a school in Sacramento and your headquarters in Boston, right? You know that the people in Sacramento is teaching the same thing. So that means it's controlled by you. How beautiful is that principle? And if you are a student, you know the same principle, you know the curriculum. If you grab your gi today and you're going to school, you know exactly what you're gonna learn. You look in the iPad, it says, well, today I'm gonna learn how to pass the guard. I'm gonna do a drill for this and this and this technique because it's right here, it's right in the curriculum. So you're controlling that. Belt test comes in, hey, the teacher will tell you, hey, next week you're gonna test for a blue belt. Great. How do you know what you're gonna prepare for? It's right there. C.A.S.M.I.R principle. You know what you're gonna learn, or what you're gonna train for, because it's controlled by you. You know you have X, Y, Z technique to train for that test, and the teacher knows what to ask for because they have a method. They have a methodology, a curriculum to go for. Because let's face it, the C.A.S.M.I.R principle, it's a blueprint. That's all it is, guys. It is a map, a compass, if you want to call it. So you can navigate through the waters, to the rough waters of your training. Okay? Because let's face it, even if you have the best GPS on earth, the best maps, the best navigation, if I'll tell you, hey, you're gonna sell from here to Brazil, even with all those tools, is there a chance you can get lost? Yes, you can. Imagine if you don't have nothing. If you go to a school, you don't know what you're gonna learn, and the teacher don't know what is going to teach you. He goes to the center of the mat and says, hey, what you guys want to learn today? And someone says, well, can we take a look on how to pass the guard again? And some other people says, well, can you teach us the arm lock? And that's a chaos. It's not controlled by anybody. It's not attainable, because tomorrow is going to be something else, right? It doesn't follow a sequence. You cannot stitch together. It's not simple, because you don't know what you're learning. You don't know how to prepare for. You cannot measure. You can't, because if you don't know what you're going to learn, how can you measure your progress? If there is no sequence, you cannot measure. Is that immediate? No, it's not. You cannot take action, because sometimes it's a technique that you can't do it because of your physical capabilities. And here you are, senior teacher, teaching the class a flying arm lock, but you can't do it, right? He's teaching advanced technique. You don't even do the shrimping. You don't even know how to, you don't know how to pass guard yet, right? And he's teaching you, and he's teaching the class advanced techniques, and you are white belt, and that's your first week, right? Sparring going on, and that's your first week. So it is a confusion there. Can you take action? You can't. But if you take action, can you get hurt? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because you're there for 1 week, and then you spar with someone, a blue belt or whatever his rank is, and you hurt yourself because you don't know nothing. And then you quit the school, and then you blame jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life. Is that repeatable? No, it's not. Because you're going to see that technique that day, and 3 days later you go back there. It's not, you can't reinforce that technique because there is no schedule. It's not controlled by you, right? So you're going to sit that week. 3 weeks later, you have to start all over again. Can't measure the progress. So think about that for a second. Let that sink in for a second. If you are looking to start on that journey, and if you are a school owner, think about that for a second. If you are one of those teachers that show up at your dojo with no planning, whatsoever. If you don't have a teaching methodology, you better find another job, because you're not a teacher. You may know the technique. You may be a black belt, but you are a white belt in teaching, which is a separate art. It's a fine, fine art. The art of teaching is separate from anything that you know. Having a teaching methodology is an art that you have to learn. It doesn't mean you don't know the technique. You know the technique, you achieved your rank. Nobody's taking that away from you, but you don't know how to teach, because nobody told you how to teach. Maybe your master never had that either. And the answer I get all the time, especially in my interactions with some people in social media, is that, well, my teacher taught me like that. That was his way of teaching. It doesn't mean you have to do it, right? If your master had no ability, had no teaching methodology whatsoever, you did a good job. Even though like that, you got it, you learned. But it doesn't mean that you have to do that to your students. Because people, think about this for a second, people have different levels of understanding things. People have different ways of learning. Some people are very visuals. Some people have to do it hands-on. You have to explain it to them. You have to break down the technique in small chunks so they can understand it. And if you don't have a teaching methodology, if you don't have a curriculum, you may have a business. You may have a business. You may have a school out there. But you're going to ask yourself, why I cannot progress? How come I have only 40 students, 10 students, and I can never move the needle? And if you ask yourself that question, you're going to hear that answer. It's because you're not a teacher. Maybe you are a good fighter, but you're not a good teacher. But you can learn, though. You can learn. Okay? There is a lot of programs out there that can teach you how to be a good teacher. Because if you have somebody come to your school and they understand this principle, they understand about teaching methodology. You don't have to be a black belt to understand that, by the way. You don't have to be an expert in martial arts to understand teaching. Think about that for a second. If you have a very smart person, maybe it's the lawyer, maybe it's the doctor that practice near you, that person understand about teaching methodology, and he's gonna find out right away when he's interview you. Because here's the thing, if you don't know how to interview, if you don't have a method, if you don't interview your potential customers when they show up through your door, they're gonna, if you have a savvy customer, he's gonna interview you. You don't even know it. Right? And depending on your answer, he's gonna shake your hand. He's gonna say, "It's a pleasure to meet you. Goodbye." And he's gonna go to the school next door, maybe across the street from you, and that teacher is gonna say, "Yes, we do have a teaching methodology, and here's a nice video for you to watch. This is how we do it." White belts go to this and this and this and this progression. Blue belts gonna do X, Y, and Z. Purple belts do X, Y, and Z. And that person, that potential customer that was in your school, they're gonna be impressed and they're gonna sign up for that 1 week trial. And you just lost a potential customer. And for you, my dear listener, that wants to train, wants to get trained by a good instructor, learn all that. Learn the Casmir principle so you don't get fooled by a bad instructor out there. Until next time, stay safe, be bold, feel the fear, my friends, and do it anyway. Have a great night.